Hi, uh, I'm Alex. I'm working at Anaconda, building a repository, package repository software, and with a focus on securing software supply chain. And today, my talk is about our experience at Anaconda building unified authentication with Ory. Super, thank you. And first, briefly, agenda about my talk. First about Anaconda ecosystem and the need for unified authentication. Why Ory and what was our migration process, as well as some use cases for enterprise world and how we used enterprise SSO feature, which was recently presented in previous talk by Klaus, and some next steps and about appreciations. So, Anaconda, it's the world's most popular data science platform focused on deploying Python solutions. Anaconda has an open source community behind and use it as a foundation. And in Anaconda, we are building optimized packages for different architectures from packages provided by open source community. In addition to using packages from open source, Anaconda also contributes to some of great projects, right? Like Panel, HoloVis, Nomba, and others. Anaconda provides possibility to build and train machine learning models and deploy them with one click. And a very important topic is securing software supply chain, because Python becomes very popular and popular from day to day, and many users using it, and companies ask us how can they prevent their software from using vulnerable packages, and yeah, we have solutions for this. Some numbers. We have more than 35 million users of Conda packages. This includes all users who use Conda packages from most of all countries and more than 1,000 of developers. So our Anaconda ecosystem has a different set of tools and solutions. First, it's Conda. Conda is a package and environment manager. It's a console tool which allows user to create environment and install not only Python packages, but also some other software and have isolated environments. Anaconda Navigator is a desktop tool which allows customers and users who like UX desktop applications to easily manage packages from their environments using intuitive interfaces. We have several web-based solutions. First, it was anaconda.org. It was for a long time a public repository of Anaconda packages, which hosts not only packages built by Anaconda, by CondaForge, but also pre-built by other developers. So if you want to maintain your own Python package, you can create a channel and distribute packages there. And Anaconda Cloud, it's a relatively new product. It's focused on helping users to learn to code and to deploy applications in cloud. And we have several products. PyScript is a new product which allows you to run Python inside of web browser, fully in web browser, and also share these applications. And Anaconda acquired a couple of products, EduBlocks for teaching people how to code, and Python Anywhere, a web hosting platform focused also on Python, and a couple of on-prem. So Anaconda Server is on-prem package repository, and Anaconda Enterprise is data science platform also with a focus on on-prem. Yeah, and you see that we have a very big set of projects, and there is definitely need for unified authentication. And first, some history. So before starting Anaconda Cloud, the main public web service which was used by data practitioners and people using packages was anaconda.org, where you can host, and it is a public repository. And Conda and Navigator were using packages from this anaconda.org repository. By default, you don't need any authentication for Conda to use packages from public sources, but you need a token to access packages from private sources. And anaconda.org has a username password-based authentication. As a Python community was evolving and Anaconda became a center of data science work, we wanted to push our data literacy, expand data literacy with a new platform. And we called it Anaconda Cloud and started building this platform. So about this platform actually focuses on different personas. First, it's these personas are represented on subscriptions layers. We have a free subscription layers where people who just start using Python, they want to learn Python. They may be yesterday's scholars or students, and they go to Google. They search, for example, how to learn how to use Python or how to train your model. And links include links to Anaconda distribution. People install Anaconda distribution, and then they are provided possibility to register on Anaconda.cloud. And this is where we provide them a free tier. And then the capabilities of every tier expanded, and business tier is focused mostly on enterprise. So it's very important because this type of business models also affected decisions we made when we selected the right IAM provider. So also, how our users are organized. Even like you can register users, but you can build organizations from users, and the user could be attached to multiple organizations. It's very similar how you have in GitHub, where you can create multiple organizations and have different permissions on top of different organizations. Important part here that you can associate different subscriptions with different organizations, and subscriptions could be bought with some set of number of seats. For example, you have organization for 10 people, but you can buy 2 seats and allocate these 2 seats only to 2 specific people who need specific capabilities. For example, data scientists who want to deploy machine learning models. You have 2 data scientists, you can allocate them seats for doing their work. And yes, we always knew that we needed a right managed IAM solution. But from other side, we moved very fast. And our first solution with IAM, before we selected the right provider, was to implement our in-house IAM solution. And here is the architecture, how it was done. So we have API gateway, and API gateway proxies requests to services. So with a multi-service, with a services architecture, we actually parallelize our work and make work efficient on the engineering layer. And we have IAM service, and we have externally user call our API with a token obtained from our IAM, and internally we exchange for internal token. This is a pretty common practice, but it was a very good decision by members of engineering team at the time, because it allows us to predefine here format of internal token and develop service without the need to change them in future when we change IAM provider and the token structure. And we started first with also like with password grant flow, because all integration and the login flow was integrated, done on the same website. However, we were running. There were like more and more features coming as a request, and for example, community forums which were implemented using Discourse platform, and for integrating Discourse platform with our solution, we needed IAM to use the AUth2 framework protocol. So technically saying, we use authorization code flow, and this required extend solution as well. So then some customers wanted to access our APIs, and they wanted to integrate their systems with some of our APIs, where we cannot use a user identity, but we decided to go with a service account approach, and we used a new flow client credentials to obtain GVT token for that client. But internally, we still used this same internal token structure and just extended it for service identities. And additionally, on our frameworks, extend rules for specific endpoints to allow access from service accounts. So we also wanted to use a standard way for CLI tool authentication integration, and SSO integration was always on our radar. And the need was that we want to have one account for multiple services, that we want to maintain user onboarding with using SSO solutions. And we, from beginning, knew that we want to use a certified OIDC implementation. However, our intermediate solution implemented basic functionality of standard flows. And the important part was, and this is why companies also today presented that nobody wants to invest into developing own solution because everybody wants to focus on their business. And if you have the right partner who can manage this work for you, that's the right choice. So this is where we came to Ory, but why Ory? And why the answer to this question already we had today on many presentations. But for us, first it was we like open source, and we support open source products, and we very excited that Ory also like open source products, so that you can contribute to it, and you can also request features from community, and you can find any issues and answers in community. So there was also a good historical track that we had a proof of concept using some Ory components, for example, Hydra, in some time before, and we started our process of evaluation of which provider to use. So I want to highlight that communication with Ory was always on a high level, and this also was suitable for our business model, because I demonstrated you before the subscriptions, and then we have a majority of non-paying customers, and generic paying model when you pay for monthly active users didn't work for us. And for some reason why we did not start before, because I remember Ory released first Kratos as a managed service. But then the question was how we still get a token, and the answer at the time was that we need to host Hydra, but we back to the original goal that we don't want to manage IAM components. We decided to wait, and we also decided to wait a bit before, because also roadmap was very clear and clearly communicated to us, and this is where we find our collaboration with Ory as well very beneficial. So and then it came to the moment once we already signed contracts and started getting accounts, there was a need to plan migration of Anaconda Cloud to Ory. And but to plan such big migration is always a risk, and you need to plan for some time, be prepared very well. For example, one aspect is also technical knowledge of systems you are integrating with. And here what was lucky for us is that time in parallel the new product, what I mentioned before, PyScript. It's a platform where you can run your Python code purely in browser and share your application between users. It was started, and this was a good candidate to start integration with Ory. During this integration, because there were initially no users, we can make some sort of adjustments and get early feedback, and also obtain knowledge by making this integration successful. Once we migrated PyScript, we start migration for Ory Cloud. And to do this, we had some legal requirements to notify users about change of where their data is moving from Anaconda to Ory, and we did it by send an email and giving 1 month's time so that user who don't want explicitly that their data been migrated to Ory, they could opt out. And all other users who did not take any actions, yeah, we migrated their accounts. And we planned first migration on our staging and then start migrating internal users. We made some small adjustments to user experience and during the login flow. And then we migrated a small portion of users, identify if there were like any complaints, and migrated all others. I think everything went mostly smoothly. There were a couple accounts where we needed to take actions, and specifically it was because in our Anaconda Cloud you can go and change your email, and then there was some inconsistency. So additionally, we tracked user activity, and Ory provides a good way to have actions where you can notify external systems if some actions were taken. For example, when a login happens, external system could be notified, and we notified our data analytics platform. So with this approach and with the architecture previously described, you can see that in this case we needed to change only externalized IAM solution. The internal token did not change, so that's why there was no impact on services which were developed before, and we required to make some changes on our gateway layer and validation to respect actually Ory token itself. You can still see that we are using internal IAM service. It's because our internal logics like users, organization associations, and subscriptions, they still are saved in our internal IAM database and are used by our services. Yeah, this you can see also that PyScript user data was already integrated, so we're using Ory Unified authentication now for 2 products, and more products will be onboarded later. So one part of our product is serving needs for enterprise. Before I showed you that we have a free tier and ending with a business tier. And with business tier, you can access not only computational resources to run your code, but also can access packages with applied policies and rules. So for example, you can configure that for your organization, you want to use packages for production with more strict rules about around CV score, like maybe license family, and maybe more softer rules for local development. For example, for data scientists, you for proof of concept still can use some LGPL libraries, but for production based on policies, you're not allowed. And with this policy filter, we control repository and access to packages based on these rules. So this layer and this component is integrated into Anaconda Cloud and using the same authentication. From beginning for users, from start integrating on enterprise customers, it was a requirement for them to create a Anaconda Cloud account and use the email password to authenticate. Once we migrated to Ory, this opened us a possibility to onboard and attach customer SSO. And you can do it and before as well by using adding generic SSO option in your generic, in your Ory console. But the problem was that once you start adding new SSO providers, they automatically appeared on the login form. And this was a bit confusing for normal users and some customer leakage and all this bad UX. But yeah, there was a solution. There was a solution to use a custom UI. And this is where we wanted to go with first. But again, Ory has a very nice testing strategy for the standard login flow, and we wanted to still keep it and on Ory side. And on our side focus on our work. So we come together and we describe the problem, and Ory found that this feature also like beneficial. So what was implemented on Ory side, that standard behavior, what you can do now, you can go to console and you can configure your organizations and make attach email domains, associate email domains with specific organizations. And within organization, you can configure several, like a list of 1 or maybe 2 if needed, SSO integrations. Right now it's like standard OIDC SSO integration. And when user types password on standard login flow, in this case, the password field and the login field are replaced with sign in with SSO. And once user clicks on this button, user is redirected to the SSO provider, and the standard authentication flow like happens. Yeah, this like first results were very positive, and we get a nice customer feedback. Thank you for doing this. And yeah, for next steps, there are like generic topics that our architecture was focused on externalize our IAM solution. And from beginning, we said that user identity is like we are using one user identity, but authorization layer is different from service to service because of different needs of every service. Maybe some use just simple airbag, some use more advanced, maybe policy-based. So this is still a topic to investigate if we can reuse some standard solution for authorization. On enterprise side, we want to more work on integrations. We want to provide on our side SSO configuration cockpit. It's so if customer wants to integrate their SSO provider, they need to provide us with client ID, client secret, and right now we embed this, and this is half automated work. What we want to do is provide this in automatic way. And some customers require additional token enforcements. It's like not only about like generic GVT tokens, but also about APAC tokens we are using for accessing repositories. So yeah, appreciations. First, yeah, big thanks for Ory for listening and for collaboration. And also, I want to say thank you for Anaconda team members who made this happen. And thank you for listening. I don't know if we have like time for one question. If not, you can maybe ping me or talk to me after.
We have a few minutes for questions. Yeah, if you have any questions in the audience. I have a question. Can you explain the footprint of your company, where you're located, how do you work?
Yeah, so company is located in in US. It's a US-based company, and I think 4 years ago the German entity was opened, and yeah, we are working in a remote mode, especially after COVID, and yeah, we have teams who are working on different set of products. So yeah, as you see, landscape is very wide. So company works on package building, company works on open source products, supporting Conda, building web services, building on-prem solutions. Some products require specific knowledge of, for example, domain, customers, and this is actually where we came also to authorization and authentication topic, because for on-prem customers we are using integrated like solution called Keycloak, and where we already had a knowledge of identity management, but in on-prem world. But yeah, for web-based solution, we definitely wanted from beginning the managed IAM solution.
Alex, you mentioned that when you're doing the migration, you notified the users and you gave them the option to opt out from that migration. Did a bunch of users opt out, and do you still have to support those users on?
I think, yeah, so some of them opt out, but I don't know the numbers. so I cannot right now share. But I mean, that means that their account is deactivated. And actually, you know, like we are following also GDPR rules, and we are always, as well, when you run such services, there are like requests for data and requests for your account termination. So it's nothing special about opt-out.
Okay, thank you very much, Oleksandr.
Thank you.
Yeah.